Thank you, HRC, for having me tonight here in my hometown. Yes. I'm in love with this city. I grew up performing in How the Grinch Stole Christmas at the Old Globe Theater every Christmas season. I spent summers at the San Diego Zoo camps, and my grandpa even helped bring the Padres to San Diego, and gays, that is a sports team. But I first came out to my mom as a girl in this very city when I was 4 years old. And thank you, like many trans kids, I knew who I was in my heart, but I soon learned that I would be punished for my truth. I was told by my family and my church and my society that I was only worthy of love if I hid myself. So I did just that. But growing up, my favorite movie was The Wizard of Oz, and I used to dance on the coffee table and sing "Somewhere Over the Rainbow." I mean, I was Dorothy in my mind. And when I was 10, I was like, we're doing it. I dressed up as Dorothy for Halloween. Best night ever. But in order to do so, I had to pretend it was a joke, and so that they would let me, but it wasn't a joke to me. And while trick-or-treating, I remember the neighbor looked at me and said, "Oh, that is such a beautiful little girl." And I was like, my first real moment of euphoria. And then my dad had to come in and go, "Nope, that's a boy." I'm like, "Oh, come on, Dad." But in his defense, we did have dinner last night, and he proudly calls me his daughter now, so that's good. Progress, it's possible. And then in my early 20s, I started to meet other trans people, and I felt a part of a community. And I finally gained the courage to publicly express my truth. And I came out as a woman, and I started sharing my journey on social media. And what began as a daily vlog turned into something bigger than I could have ever imagined. Overnight, it felt like my most personal, private experiences became politicized and turned into tabloids and sensational headlines. And the love and support, don't get me wrong, it was tremendous, but so was the hate. And I mean, I'm just a gal from San Diego who loves beer, so I don't know what all the commotion was about. But it got so bad this spring that I started to feel like that hopeless and afraid kid again. And like this world would be better off without me. I loved my femininity. I loved my trans joy. I loved sharing my story. And those things were used against me and turned ugly. But what saved my life was my community. And I had trans content creators right here, and I had trans elders that reached out to me with advice for mental health and for safety planning. And I connected with HRC, and for the first time, I felt like people had my back. And HRC gave me the resources to get through these past few months. And now I stand before you. I'm happy, I feel a little safer, and I am proud of my transness. Thank you. Thank you. I am also proud to announce that today we organized the first ever HRC Trans Content Creators Summit right here in order to strategize on how to navigate these increasingly hostile climates. Because I grew up with no real representation of trans people in media, and I am so thankful for my peers in this room for shifting this media landscape. We are being targeted because we are showing the world that being trans is not only possible, it's freaking gorgeous and beautiful, and maybe even powerful. And we are showing the world that you do not need to hide your true self, that you can be yourself and find happiness and success and community and love. And if you were at the summit today, would you please stand for me? All my trans content creators out there. Yes. If you would all give them a round of applause, thank you. And make sure to give them a follow when you go home. I love you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, you still with me? Okay, I got one little story left. So, I was sharing a meal with a cis gal pal, and she told me she felt like society was trying to shame her for being associated with someone like me. And it helped me realize that the stakes of what we're all up against, because extremists are trying their best to make people ashamed for supporting us and hiring us and platforming us. And this is not just about trans people. This is about our families and our friends and everyone who loves us. And that's a lot of people, if you ask me. And in response, we have to redefine what allyship means. It is not enough to support us in private. This is the time to love us out loud. We need to create a world where people don't have to wait for one night a year to be themselves, but where we can be ourselves all the time, 365 days of the year. And you know, growing up, I was made to feel that I had to lie about who I was in order to belong. But now I am learning that true belonging comes from being honest with myself and with you. And the more authentic I am, the more love I have for myself and for this world. So I'm here to say, I love ya, all of you, even the people that hate me, because I believe you belong regardless. And I believe that you are all worthy of community for who you are and not who you pretend to be. And I believe that the way we counter hate is by loving even harder. So thank you, HRC. I love ya.